When the massive earthquake hit Gujarat in January of 2001, our local Twin Cities communities here in Minnesota sponsored rebuilding an entire village of some 208 houses in the village called Vijaypur, about 2 hours east of Bhuj. A year later, I went there to see the progress. They had only constructed 140 houses out of the needed 208, but the finished 140 houses were still unoccupied. Why? Well, they all wanted to move in at the same time, together as a community. Wow, that'll never happen in a city. Vijaypur was my first ever village. Then I came to Chennai and met Ilango, some of you have met him, and sought his permission to stay in his village, both days and nights, for 3 days. So that way I would observe what really happens in a village. And this was my village number 2. I took a 2-week training journey in September of 2003, all the way from north to south. And I met various pioneers, started in Delhi, met Professor Indaresan, a past director of IIT Madras and a close colleague of President Kalam. He had taught me about rainwater harvesting 4 years before that. Then I visited Gurgaon and Ghagas village to see what an NRI from Tampa, Florida was doing. And this was Dr. Suri Saigal, and agricultural scientist who had just started working in the villages of Haryana. Then I went to the famous Rajendra Singh, who is working on check dams all over Rajasthan. Then I went to Paltan near Pune to see Dr. Karve of the ARTI-RT Institute. He taught me about raised bed farming, making charcoal from sugarcane bagasse. Then I met Madhukar Deshpande and his wife Pushpa, who were NRIs from Milwaukee. And they were taking a bus loaded with science experiments all through the villages of Maharashtra. Then my trip took me to Ralegaon Siddhi, a village which Anna Hazare has completely transformed, and most of you know about it. Well, what if we don't have all this time to make these different kinds of trips? Here's my first recommendation. Find a charity or an NGO or wherever you come from in your part of India. Just pick up, say, $100. Write a check. Don't ask any questions. Mail it to them. So that way now with that small donation of $100, you've now become a concerned NRI. Until that time, you're just a bystander debating about India's problems, and certainly with plenty of solutions. The next suggestion is to visit a village. Well, wow, how do you visit a village? And where are they? Within 2 hours driving from just about any large metropolitan city in India, we're all surrounded by villages. Just take your camera. Do not need an appointment to go there. Stop at the very first village you see, and within 10 minutes, almost half the village will come to see you. And if you want to go a little after 3 p.m., that's when they all come back after working in the fields, you can see the entire village. Introduce yourself. If you happen to know their local language, speak to them in their local language. Ask them if it's okay to take a short tour. Then find a shady tree to sit under. Soon 15-20 village people will be right next to you. Don't offer any solutions, just listen. Understand their difficult times. So this way you know more about their situation and how they live. Now come back and tell all your friends about your first visit to a village and what you thought about it. And then you try to find a well-known NGO in your organization, in your region, collect about $1,000 from some of your friends, support that NGO. On your next visit to India, meet with that NGO, visit their project sites, and learn about some of the elements of rural transformation. Either in the US or in India, try to attend 1 or 2 conferences on rural transformation. ITCA, one of the co-sponsor groups here today, has annual conferences, one in Chicago in October and one in Delhi on the month of January. This will also speed up your learning process and also develop a network of other volunteers. Of course, at this point, what you do is strictly up to you. But this is what we did with a bunch of friends. We collected about $6,000 and we discovered a group in Madurai called Dawn Foundation, and we said we were going to help with some drinking water projects. So this money was used for desilting a drinking water pond, and we visited the projects 2 or 3 times during the construction, and then at the end of the project the villagers in this village were able to get their own drinking water, and before that they were going to villages about 3-4 kilometers away from it. So that's what we did. Allow me to share a few lessons learned during my last many years. At this point, you might be tempted to create an NGO on your own. My best recommendation is don't do one, because the moment you start an NGO, then nobody else will talk to you. Remain an individual volunteer, call it a social entrepreneur, whatever you like, and so that way you can proceed with your projects, and plus others will be happy to cooperate with you. And a couple of things: one, you can read the what I have on the slide, but the most important thing is, as you get into these projects, you want to make sure that at least 1/3 of the project funding is actually invested by the actual communities and the villagers, and that's what builds ownership. And if something breaks, they will come back and fix it themselves. So that's quite. At this stage, you're ready for a complete or a holistic rural development project. In short, you're willing to look at all aspects of the village development. We usually use an acronym to remember these different aspects of it. The word is wealth. I'll explain what the letters stand for. W stands for water, especially good drinking water, and of course sanitation always goes with water. E could be energy or education. When we say energy, we're referring to alternate energy, such as solar, biomass, windmill, etc. Education, all the way from a balwadi to vocational training and various kinds of educational skills. A stands for agriculture, better methods, food storage, food processing. L is livelihoods, that's jobs for villagers. Here are some samples: making fibers from banana tree barks, making furniture from lantana trees, so like that. T could be for technology, particularly low-cost technology. Here's an example of making bricks with the local labor and the resources. H is obviously health, basic ICAMs, basic medicine, and making sure that they are in good health. So these are some samples of the various projects. We have now incorporated the wealth concept in designing our Bharath Community Center coming up in Villatikulam. It's built on a 13-acre property with about 1/4 acre meant for a training center. We have completed 2 ponds, collected all the rainwater, and we built a hut with some solar lanterns, a 1/4 acre nursery to grow saplings in an efficient way. Currently we're building a 3rd pond, which is meant for entirely pure drinking water, which will meet the needs of the surrounding villages. So this should be open sometime late this fall this year. I would like to conclude this presentation with 2 quotations, one from Mahatma Gandhi, the other one from Margaret Mead. And then we'll end with a small song. Thank you very much.
ये जो देश है तेरा स्वदेश है तेरा, तुझे है पुकारा। ये वो बंधन है जो कभी टूट नहीं सकता। ये जो देश है तेरा स्वदेश है तेरा, तुझे है